Chevron 1, encoded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed your hunt. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry hammer, and let's set the tongues of war.
Chevron 2, encoded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's all in the reflexes.
Paul also said you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff. I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3, encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I won't.
Chevron 4, encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5, encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6, encoded.
Not for while you can, little boy.
Great Scott.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass! I thought I'd die fighting side by side with Al.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to Saturday Night Drive-In. We took a break, but we're here again to give you a chance to escape from the crap that we're constantly being assaulted with, both in entertainment and the real world. I am once again joined by Jed, the Hollywood scholar, who has been sojourning across these great states of the United States, and I really came out wrong. But wow, my thoughts, mouth got ahead of my thoughts there. Jed, hi, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while.
Hey, yeah, it's been a while. It's great to be here. Great to be back after Dallas Fan Expo, and I'm really excited for this show right now because I love the movie we're talking about tonight, and I really need to talk about something that I love right now because about 5 minutes before the stream started, I was physically dying at the new Witcher clip.
He's hurt.
I'm in physical pain right now from the new Witcher clip, so I'm excited to talk about something positive and just fun.
Yeah,
just fun.
I'll say now, watching this, I watched it yesterday. I feel different about it than when I first saw it. And I think this may be only the second or third time I've ever seen this. Honestly, I saw it in theaters, and then maybe I saw it once on TV back in the day when watching movies on TV was a thing. So I feel a little different. So this is one of those circumstances where Jed has me go down a road of something that I saw and pretty much said I'm never going to watch again, but here it comes in front, and I feel a little differently. One of those times, because I guess I cannot. I think I can say this is one of those instances when we talk about it where I'll look at a movie from this. What was 2002, 2003? It was
something like that.
Yeah, 2003, where you watch a movie from back then and you cannot help but compare it to what's going on now in all shapes and form. You realize, wow, yeah, hindsight really does change how you feel about something when you look at it back then and now you look at it now. So, first, okay, chat. Hello, chat. How we doing? I see both La Goddess and Mustang changed his name again to Bard Stories. How you guys doing? My mods, my regulars. Hail, Algram the Strong, if you're still here. Good, sir. Hail to you. And hail, good evening to Kale. How you doing? And anybody else is watching and chilling out, I know it is, it's a busy Saturday afternoon. We hope you enjoy the rest of this show, both live and on the replay. Hit that like button and leave a comment, whatever version you want. All right, so Jed, this was your choice this week. Reign of Fire, starring Christian Bale, Matthew McConaughey, and several other people who are famous but don't really You wouldn't really know that at this point in this movie. So walk us through, what are we doing with Reign of Fire?
So yeah, Reign of Fire is my favorite dragon movie of all time. It is just dumb fun. So the story is dragons have been sleeping under the planet's surface for millennia, and they get woken up on accident, and they start taking over the planet, and they breed so fast that they pretty much destroy the world in the prologue. It's done for. It's all
Done.
ash.
Yeah.
It's just a few groups of survivors. So Christian Bale survivors and Matthew McConaughey group of survivors, and then they get this idea that the Matthew McConaughey people find out a way that they can stop the dragons forever because there's only one male. So kill the one male, the species will die off soon. So it's about trying to kill the male dragon, and it's kind of a really cool post-apocalyptic. Got some sci-fi in there, got some fantasy with dragons. It's just everything I love.
When it came out, with all the promotion for it, I thought I was going to get a totally different movie when I went to see this. I didn't know it was post-apocalyptic or anything like that. All I knew was dragons. Hey, I'm down.
Machine guns versus dragons, helicopters versus dragons. It is testosterone, the movie. It is so dumb, but it's so awesome. The cool factor is very strong. The rule of cool.
It personifies over the top in terms of how they deal with this stuff. Because what you have, and there are some actual classical themes in here: trauma, PTSD. It's in there. Hope, a little bit of crazy in some people. We're looking at what's Matthew McConaughey's character?
Van Zant.
Van Zant. All right, but here's one thing that I'll say right away with this movie. Watching it now, not having watched it, 20 years ago, and having consumed so much more media, both between anime and other movies and shows. One thing I now can see I do really like about this movie is the fact that they don't do this silly trope of, oh, modern technology can take out dragons, no problem. Yeah, apparently not. I like that. There's an anime called Gate, where modern day Japanese armed forces are able to travel back, or at least across a portal to another world where they're fighting fantasy monsters, and they have it that their 21st century armaments just decimate these things. And I'm not a fan of that. I'm not, because to me, monsters are monsters.
Yeah.
Certain types of monsters, you go up against a bunch of orcs and goblins. Yeah, an M16 is going to mow them down, no problem. Although an orc might actually like it and get more angry and kill you. But when you're fighting higher grade monsters that have thick hides, scales, resistances, I've never liked the thought that, oh, our missiles, our guns are flamethrowers. Yeah, we're gonna take this down easy. And
it should still be difficult. But at the same time, they still need to be vulnerable. That's why I love Matthew McConaughey's speech about 3/4 of the way through the movie. It's like, it is still flesh. It still has a heart, a brain, and a liver. Take one of these down, you bring down the beast.
Van Zant is he is the good old boy, times 20. Times 1,000, 100, and it reminds you, if you're ever in a
stereotypical American. I love that this is from a British perspective.
I hate that
he's what they think Americans are.
I know. I hate that line when what's his name?
Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler. Yeah, I think when Gerard Butler says something worse than the dragons, Americans. I'm just like,
I laugh.
Come on.
It's dumb. It's stupid. I don't think it's meant to be serious, but
I know.
Funny. It's like.
Yeah, but it proves one point that we always say in these crazy end time situations. If you're going into the trenches, you want that good old boy. Good old boys who you want standing next to you, because they give no shits. They are afraid of nothing, and they know how to use the armory.
There is actually one scene in the movie that doesn't adhere to that you're talking about, which is my least favorite scene in the movie, but we can get there. It's pretty far along. But there's one scene where I feel Van Zant is entirely out of character, and it bothers me a lot. He's no longer the good boy, and he's no longer fearless, and it bothers me a lot. But
although his final moments are completely fearless.
Okay.
Have you ever seen the original trailer for this?
I don't think so.
That was in the trailer. The leaping off the thing at the dragon with the axe, that was in the trailer. and they ran with that so hard. Matthew McConaughey leaping off of a ledge with a giant ass axe at a rising dragon. That's like the final shot of the original trailer. So it's like, yeah, you know what
that
you're getting.
sucks because it's an important
That's
moment.
the end, but it's his end, and it's just it's an end where it's just like, yeah, you realize that moment. Why are you doing that? I'll talk about that. I have thoughts on that part there. But so as I said, we start this movie starts in the then modern day, the then present, where a young Quinn, played by Christian Bale, his younger version, his mom works with a mining crew, and they're excavating a new train tunnel for London. And they find a cavern that they didn't expect to be there, and in it is the hibernating male dragon. And it's not. And they were going to wake that thing up no matter what, because someone else was going to go in there. But one of the male workmen says, "Hey, Quinn, why don't you go in there and take a look around, have some fun, kid?" And of course, he goes in there and starts touching the goddamn thing, and then it wakes up in Armageddon.
Yeah, that's one thing that I have a really big issue with this movie as well, is inciting incidences are important to me. And yes, coincidences as inciting instances are okay, but they're not connected inciting incidents, if that makes any sense. Because there's two inciting incidents. The inciting incident of the apocalypse in the prologue, the inciting incident of Matthew McConaughey showing up at the monastery. I don't like how Quinn's at both just coincidentally. I feel like that's just too coincidental.
Yeah, I mean it's
a bit of a stretch.
It's all done to create his character arc of the PTSD and going back to London where it all started.
Yeah,
to face the dragon,
I
he was
love
at the
that.
core
But
of it. Yeah.
if him being the one responsible, then luckily surviving for 20 years and then being the one there to finish it all, unless
it's
there's
a hard
something
hero's
else,
journey to get your head around. It's a hard one.
If there was something affecting that, like Matthew McConaughey heard about him and is like, "You were there. I want you there because you know what the nests look like," or something like that.
I'm gonna skip to something here. Hang on, I just want to say something. Well, I want to skip to something. I was gonna save it, but we bring it up because you're talking about Christian Bale's arc in this. You're talking about his character arc in this, and how it just seems coincidental. And when you take into account all that kind of thing, I don't like the way the end of the movie plays out. Honestly, the final battle with the dragon. No, the final battle with the dragon. Epilogue, whatever. That's hey, we're moving on with the world. That's fine. No, it's the dragon. It's the final battle with the male dragon at the end, because. And I'll say this now, since we're talking about it, we're going to jump around, whatever. I feel like it should have been Van Zandt to get the killing blow.
Well, going with finishing things off, I think it makes more sense for Christian Bale.
Because they set it up that way. But when I look at it from the perspective you just opened up, it feels forced. It doesn't feel as organic.
Yeah.
To me, now that you mentioned, when you bring in the coincidental part, the inciting coincidence.
As long as Christian Bale set him up for the kill, I would be all right with that. Like, he still had to be more involved than he was in the first.
I mean, I'm okay with Van Zandt dying, because it would be the hero's death, but it would have been. I mean, I'm rewriting this on the fly as I'm thinking about this. Christian Bale wounds the dragon, because at one point you see it was Van Zandt that wounds the dragon so that it's leaking the glycerin from its jaw, setting it up so that Quinn can get the shot that causes the chain reaction to blow it up from the inside out. I would have liked that if it had been reversed. And Quinn got the winning shot, and then Van Zandt with a flaming axe leaps off the thing and hits it in the mouth,
and it ignites it in his mouth, and his death actually means anything. Something.
He gets caught in the mouth. He's like, "Take this, MFR!" Boom, and hits it with the. I mean, I said it like Sam Jackson there, but
I think that would have been a more epic death, because I don't like how they're just on the street facing each other and then he shoots. I don't like the actual kill. Leading up to it, I like that fight a lot.
Yeah,
and the sneaking
chaotic
around.
nature flag where everybody and they're all over the place, but when he's just facing off it because it's wounded, it can't fly at the moment, and it can't quite see him because it's the magic hour. I just rewrote that on the fly. That is my rewrite
Yeah.
of the ending. I would have. I've been
I
thinking
would
about.
agree. It would be so much more epic, seeing the dragon explode in the sky, and Van Zam died for a reason. Because Van Zam knew he was done for as soon as he missed. There's no way he was going to climb down, so he's like, "I'm going to go out my way." Yes, that makes sense with his character.
Yeah,
but his death doesn't really mean a whole lot.
Death is in the end. His actual death is meaningless. Yes, he gets the wound in, but his death is meaningless.
It would have been a lot cooler. The way that you're talking about it, like the dragon's wounded, flying up there to get him, and then flaming axe jump off, and then just big explosion as the dragon.
Yeah, it's like
that would have been pretty good.
That would have been cool. That would have been a badass ending. That's the hero's death, and Finn would have gotten his closure anyway because he faced the dragon. And returned to the scene of the entire apocalypse beginning. So it's just that to me would have been awesome, and I just feel. After everything you get with Van Zandt in the movie, it's kind of a letdown for his story arc just to end. He dives into the dragon. He doesn't even get it hidden. The dragon chomps him in midair
before he can hit it with the axe.
Doesn't even get it hidden, and it's just like, man, that's.
It would have been cool if at least he had like knocked out a tooth or something like he likes to do.
Yeah. What was that? I wanted a more badass ending for Van Zandt. Yeah. But this was, I think, looking back, this is the second time I'd ever seen Christian Bale in a movie.
Really?
I mean, he made a lot of movies between the first movie I saw him in. First movie I ever saw him was Empire of the Sun. That was the first movie I ever saw him in when he was a child actor. And I missed a lot of the in-betweens. I've seen those in-betweens in the intervening years. But I think this was the second time I'd ever seen Christian Bale in a movie at that point.
He was pretty young.
Yeah. I mean, Empire of the Sun was 87, and this was 2002. So that's a long. I mean, he made a lot of other movies in between. I just looked at him. Movies that I've seen.
Newsies. Newsies is the youngest one I've seen.
I skipped Newsies. I did not watch Newsies, but I have seen Midsummer Night's Dream and a couple other ones in there. But yeah, so I going back realizing. I remember realizing. Oh shit, that's Christian Bale in this movie. That's Christian Bale.
Well, talking about the cast, did you notice you're on a Star Trek binge right now? Did you notice there's 2 Star Trek actors?
Alice Kreege in the beginning. I could recognize Alice Kreege,
the Borg Queen.
Yeah, that's Alice.
Did you recognize the second one?
Dr. Bashir.
Yep, Dr. Bashir.
You think I'm not gonna spot these things, dude? I was gonna see it. I saw Dr. Bashir.
I wish he was in it more. He barely had a single line.
Yeah, well, he plays the radio guy, and he dies in the monastery attack when the dragon comes. Yeah. Yep. All right, so let's see. We're talking about a movie that's just dumb fun here, guys. So there's not a lot of depth to the movie.
No, it's very, very thin. And like I mentioned to Adam in the pre-show, I'm going to be comparing this movie to stuff like Transformers and Fast and Furious a lot because it's kind of in the same vein. It's turn your brain off, dumb fun, pure escapism. And I would definitely choose this movie 100 times over Transformers and things like Fast and Furious because, maybe the action's not as good. Maybe the CGI is not as good. But
actually, I'm going to say the CGI, pretty good.
Oh, overall, yeah.
I mean, that's where I want to talk about this now. That's a good segue. I want to talk about the production value of this movie because the story, again, we've kind of covered it. Christian Bale stars the apocalypse. He has survived the entire time. He's protecting his little enclave. Of course, there are a couple. There's a lot of unrest. People want to do things. They realize that
there's something with his group I want to mention later. But keep going.
And there is one cool moment. I do like it where they're reenacting Empire Strikes Back.
That's great, and they like narrate it as they go too.
And the little kids who haven't heard of her, they're like, "Oh my god, did you create this?" And he's like, "Yeah, what do you?"
Of course,
it's of course I created it. Yeah, it's hard. Whatever.
Jared Butler like showing the kids his hand when they're freaking out too much. Like, it's okay. It's okay.
So that I do like that. That's quirkiness is done, but that's kind of it. They protects it, then they're struggling, and then here comes Van Zandt and his crew because, like Jed said, they're only here because they realized that London was ground zero, and they're coming to try and hunt down the male dragon whose territory is London. He's not going to leave his territory. He'll fly. Maybe once a year he'll do a lap around the world, fertilize eggs, and then he goes back to home and chills out. But the dragons are also at the end of this life cycle because there's food running out. And we see at one point the male dragons cannibalizing females for food. But that's pretty much it. It's then Catalyst event. Go hunt. Christian Bale doesn't want to go do it. Says, don't go there. It'll track us back to the people. Van Zandt doesn't want to listen, and of course comes true. The male dragon wipes out the remaining part of Van Zandt's crew except for him and the chick. Then they come back, and dragon kills them. Just about everybody in the monastery, and then that makes Christian Bale go, okay, I'm gonna finish this, and then climactic battle. We talked about that. That's kind of it. It's and 1 hour.
Thin.
1 hour, 40 minutes of what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just straight up high octane, over the top, post-apocalyptic action movie with dragons. And All right, go ahead.
You do mention the scene in the movie that I dislike the most, and I have the most of an issue with because it feels so out of character for Van Zam, and that's when his entire crew gets wiped out. Like. I get him in that moment. He's like, I got nothing but a shotgun. I'm just going to shoot at it with the shotgun. I know it doesn't do anything. I was talking to Mustang about this. That makes sense. But as soon as he gets blown underneath the tank or whatever, he just stays there. And he's looking all scared and sad at all this. That just feels out of character. Like we see him at the end of the movie. He's more than happy to sacrifice himself. So I believe with what they've shown with him, he would have gotten right back out from under there and died heroically with his men instead of like, oh my God, there's fire.
Think that,
does
that feel like a rewrite to you then? Like somebody
maybe
it was they decided, okay, let's redo this scene.
Yeah, I hate it. He looks scared underneath there, and that's incongruent with the character that's been established thus far and subsequently. I think it would have been a little bit cliche, but I would have had him, be in the fight and then get like knocked out or something because he needed to live, obviously,
or badly burned or something.
Yeah, decommissioned. He needed to be taken out of the fight to the degree that he had no choice but to stay out of it. But getting knocked under a van and hiding underneath it while his men die is not a good way to do it. I despise him just hanging out under there, all curled up, listening to his men scream as they die.
That maybe that was a studio note or something.
Maybe I hate it so much.
Who I missed? Who directed this movie? I missed that.
I don't know off the top of my head. But
besides
that, all the action scenes are great. Like this movie is so dumb. Like we mentioned, they are using a helicopter versus a dragon, where people skydive out of the helicopter and try to catch a dragon with nets.
Yeah. It's like we're trying to gimp the wings and shit like that.
It's so weird. It's so weird. And one of those guys survived, right? One of the parachuters, and he was going to train Jared to be a parachuter with him.
Yeah.
But where does he go? Shouldn't he been in the helicopter with Alex?
I don't know.
He just disappears from the movie. Like he should be in the helicopter and survive with Alex. It's just like, yep, he's gone.
Wow, this is weird. So the guy who did, director, the guy who directed this, Rob Bowman, he mostly worked with TV.
Yeah,
doing this stuff. Like, he directed Elektra. But he's mostly a TV. He like 95% of his resume is TV.
Yeah.
He only directed Reign of Fire and Elektra for movies. Oh, he directed an episode of Briscoe County Jr.
He directed Next Generation.
He did some X-Files. I mean, he did a lot of good TV. A lot of good TV.
But not big action movies.
Yeah.
So really impressive he did such a good job.
Yeah.
Without the experience.
Yeah, because like we said, that leads back to what I wanted to talk about. Things that I thought about watching is that everything about this movie, from scenery to the editing to the sequences, the choreography, it works.
So beautiful.
I'm not taken out at all. Everything feels organic to it. And as we said, the dragon CGI, 2020 is sitting here laughing at the CGI that they're doing today. I mean, 2002. 2002 is laughing at 2020. Yeah. They're laughing.
Substantially better.
Yeah. It's believable. The dragon, the dragon, I believe that it's right there in front of Christian Bale in that final scene. And I thought that was my thought yesterday. I'm thinking, I feel like it's right there. There's no uncanny valley. The texturing, the blending with the scenery, there's nothing making me think it's not there.
There's some great behind the scenes documentaries about it that came with the DVD when I watched it back in the day. And yeah, just showing how they make it. They cared a lot and put a lot of effort into it. There's only one scene where I say the CGI or the visual effects were a little bit rough, and it sucks. The green screening for Matthew McConaughey when he's on top of that tower isn't good. Isn't good. There's a few green screen shots where I can like, all right, that sky is fake as shit. There's a few times. But yeah,
I'll
weird
give
the
you that.
green screening was so bad in a few situations. Not all of them, but there were a few times.
Well, I mean, again, that's when green screen. That's when it became a real thing. I mean, George Lucas was pioneering it, really heavy use of it with the prequel trilogy.
Well, yeah, blue screens had been around since the black and white era, but the green screen change was early 2000s with George Lucas.
Yeah, he really put it forward. But again, it works. And my only complaint is I'm not a fan of the dragon design.
What?
I like quadruped dragons. I don't like the dragons where the arms are the wings.
That's true.
It's a personal taste.
That.
It's a taste.
I will give you that. I hate like Game of Thrones dragons.
That's what I mean when I say design. I don't like the dragon where the wing and the arm are the same thing. That's not something I'm a fan of in a lot of things. I mean, I didn't like it. I didn't like that as Smaug's design in Hobbit trilogy. I don't like it in a bunch of other things. I like my dragons to be quadrupeds. I like the wings to be on the back and to be a separate part of body, not part of the arms, because it's just call it my old school D&D background.
I agree.
But the dragons look good. I'm not that when I say design, I mean the physical design. I don't mean I don't like how they behave on screen. The behaving on the screen, it's poetry in motion. They look great. And they do a great job. And you realize it's limited. The use of the dragon is limited. It's very quick shots. The only one you get a lot of is maybe the male dragon. And even then, they limit it. One of my favorite moments in the movie is the destruction of the monastery where Quinn comes over and there's the male dragon rising up, just launching the flames all over the thing, and it's lit up by the flames. A great shot, and that's good. It looks cool, and the dragon looks cool, and that's what it tried to do. And I like the fact that they make the flames so powerful in this movie. That it's not just heat; it's napalm heat that is going to melt you. It's going to melt everything,
and coincidentally, and luckily, shut a door for some reason.
It's like they got to survive. The kids have to survive.
The kids have to live. I mean, I like the death scene.
We got to do the prayer chant. Then.
What do we do when we wake?
We look at the sky. What do we sleep? We keep one eye open because how is that possible?
We keep one eye on the sky.
But as I said, the production value is very good.
For 02? Oh, yeah.
For 02. And it's grounded. It's all, with the exception of the dragon and the couple of things you pointed out, it's practical effects. Those are real explosions. Those are real sets that they're running around in. And it's what they don't do today. It's a lived-in movie. It's a movie that is happening. It's an actualized world that is alive and breathing. And you connect it. And even in this movie where we don't get tons of character development, and we have and major characters like Van Zandt and the chick who's with him, whose name I can't remember. Alex, was her name Alex?
Yeah, it was Alex.
Yeah, Alex. They're introduced in the second act. And we don't get all the time, but they're portrayed in a way where you're instantly going to connect with them. Van Zandt is just badass. It's like, okay, I'm on board.
That's my favorite scene in the movie. Just the acting from both Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey when they meet is astonishing. I love like the look in Matthew McConaughey's eyes as he's convincing him, Christian Bale, that he is a dragon slayer. I just love that scene. The intensity that Matthew McConaughey brings to the role is next level. I think it's one of his best performances. McConaughey.
It's Matthew McConaughey is what it is. It's just that he's kind of playing an amped up version of himself. Like when we were watching Tropic Thunder, he was the same in that movie, just not badass. It was still him. Matthew McConaughey doesn't change who he is. in any movie. It's just a slight variation of Matthew McConaughey, and this was good old boy Matthew McConaughey turned up to the max.
This is very much if you've seen Sahara, which only came out a couple years after this, that's another great movie with him playing the same
see
role.
that because I grew up in a house where people read Dirk Pitt novels, and they said it's not Dirk Pitt. So
it's not. I never read the books, but the movie was incredible.
Yeah, I had in my house for the original runs of all those books. They were very big Dirk Pitt fans, very big Dirk Pitt fans. So there's like, yeah, he's not Dirk Pitt. He's not Dirk Pitt. So it never made its way over there.
Yeah.
Real quick, Sam 8000 for $5. Thank you, Sam. Just finished Noble House by James Clavell. I loved it. It should have read. I loved it. Should I read Whirlwind? I've heard it isn't worth reading. Okay. Again, I am in a household of Clavell. Again, I love Noble House right here. This is one of the best.
Oh, he stood up this time.
Well, I want to be quick. This is one of the best miniseries of all time. It's not a perfect adaptation because they moved the timeline from the 60s to the 80s. But it's still great. And of course, Pierce Brosnan, John Rhys Davies. Noble House. Here's the thing about Whirlwind. It's an entirely different thing. It's an entirely different story. My mom likes it. I never read it. My mom likes it. She said it's good, but you have to know that it's not a direct continuation of Noble House. So you have to understand that going in. And while Ian is there, while Ian Dunn Ross is there, he's not the main character. He's retired as Type Han, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. So you have to understand that, and it takes place during the Iranian Revolution. So my mom liked it, and she's a very high caliber reader. So if you want to read it, go ahead. It's the end though. There's no more because Clavell passed away in the late 80s, early 90s. And he didn't write anymore. Now, I would have loved to have Clavell's take on modern day, what's going on with China in the modern day. I mean, when we were watching, I was watching a show. Jed, have you saw the show? Have you seen the show? Oh God, I just forgot its name. It's fuck.
Boomer.
I just forgot it. It's a God, it's like a mix of Indiana Jones and Tomb Raider with a dude and a chick. Oh God, what was it called? Shit. Well, it was a TV show, and the second season came out last year, and they went to Hong Kong. And every time I take a shot of modern Hong Kong, I take very much pride in picking out the building that they used for Noble House in the miniseries. It's still there. It's still there, and it makes me smile whenever I can smile. Oh, there's a Noble House. So yeah, Sammy 1000, thank you for the $5. I say go ahead and read it. Because it might give you closure for it all. Because then that's it. That's the end of it, unfortunately. And if you haven't seen it, watch the miniseries. It's fantastic. Again, it's not a direct adaptation because they shift the time period and they change some of the character relationships for drama purposes, this and that. But I always recommend it. It's one of my favorite things to just put on and have chill in the background. It's a great companion. I've seen it dozens of times. And of course, Pierce Brosnan. Hanging over with Pierce Brosnan. Can't go wrong. Thanks again for the $5. All right, go ahead.
Well, yeah. So I just wanted to. I looked up the box office for this.
Yeah,
it's bad.
It's bad.
It made $82 million.
On what was the budget? Did you see the budget?
60.
Ooh.
Did not make back its money.
No. That's why this guy didn't direct movies. He got one more
it's
chance.
Such a good movie.
He got one more chance with Elektra, and then that was 2 strikes and you're out. 2 strikes and you're out. Sorry, Rob Bowman, you're out. You're
I get why you never direct again after
Relic
Elektra.
Hunter. Not Relic Hunter. No, not Relic Hunter. That wasn't it. No.
But Rain of Fire is just good. He should have gotten more. Like, I love this movie. I mean, good is, it's good at what it is trying to be. It's not actually good.
That's it. Blood and Treasure. Thank you, Legatus. Blood and Treasure. That's the show. That's a good show. That's a good show. I recommend this show. If you haven't seen it, 2 seasons. It's fun. The chick in it is smoking hot. She's really hot. And the dude who plays it is not a beta male, and he has his own. He has his age. Doesn't have his agency stolen from him. It's good stuff. I recommend Blood and Treasure. Yeah.
Well, speaking of beta males,
oh no,
I saw a tweet like a year ago, maybe, and it stuck with me about this movie.
Uh-huh.
Someone was trying to argue that this was secretly a woke movie. Do you know why? Do you have any?
Enlighten me. Enlighten me. I don't think I could guess this in 1,000 years.
Because Christian Bale's society or his group is communist.
They're not communists. They're survivors in an apocalypse. And they're
people are
clinging to
confusing the two things these days: a survivalist unit versus a commune. Like that's the same thing happened with The Last of Us. When Last of Us was coming out, everyone's like, "Why are you upset that they're communists in the TV show? They were communists in the video games." Like, no, they were a survival unit in the video game. There's a difference.
This is a couple dozen people with a bunch of kids that they're just trying to keep alive, and you have to have rules in place where you share everything, but don't ruin. You have to.
So yeah, this person was actually trying to say it was a good thing. It's like, oh, you guys say wokeness ever existed? I've got this woke movie for you.
The never argument. Oh, they're getting it right there. They see that's how it's supposed to work. Oh, go. Oh, this movie is this movie is anything but woke. This is a movie
There's so much testosterone.
I know.
And a strong female character, though.
Yeah.
Alex is very competent. Yeah. She's insanely competent.
Yeah, and she doesn't try to steal anybody's thunder.
No. I love the Keeper of the Dead stuff with her. I love how they portrayed that scene with Matthews explaining it. There's just so many cool little things. Like the world building is great. I would love to have seen a prequel, not made in the modern day, but a prequel about how they got to England, because the way that they describe it is like, we had to put together this old twin turbojet and get over here and fought dragons on the way. It's like, I want a self-contained movie that is just them flying over the Atlantic fighting dragons in the sky.
This is a simple movie that knows exactly what it is. Made when movies were just there was no messaging in this movie. There's no agenda in this movie. It's just
not trying to teach you.
Dragons.
It's just like dragons. That's dragons, like literally the point of the movie.
Dragons eat the world.
It doesn't all make sense. Like the whole they eat ash.
That is weird.
They
also eat meat because the male's eating the female dragon.
They that doesn't make any sense. And in the over dramatic prologue that Christian Bale narrates, he says they burned the dinosaurs. The dragons destroyed the dinosaurs, and their ash created an ice age. And it's just like all that type of stuff. Like the lore doesn't make any sense. That when they're starving, they go hibernating for a few millennia and let the earth replenish itself, and then they do it again. And Christian Bale, he broke the cycle. It's so over dramatic. It is so. It doesn't make any sense. None of that I just described makes any sense.
Dragons.
Yeah, like the lore of Reign of Fire is nonsense, but the world building of Reign of Fire is awesome. I don't know if you can differentiate the two. Know what I'm trying to say?
I can. Oh yeah, I can. It's disconnected in its logic, but the world, the end result of it, you understand it and you feel it.
Well, there's so many cool things that they do. It's like it's smart to have fire retardant clothes that they go and harvest the food with, and that they have fire truck Humvees. Like that all makes sense. It's a great idea. That's absolutely what you should do in a situation like that. Stuff like that, I think, is just really cool little stuff. And
as I said, I appreciate it that it has the very cool aspect of dragons are gonna fuck your world up. They're gonna kill you. And granted, they use this one. These are not gigantic dragons. These are very small dragons.
Except for the male.
The male was big. Of course, again, D&D background to me, think about a great worm, like 300, 400 feet. Scales is harder than steel. I mean, that's a dragon in my mind. But these dragons they're not invincible, but they're hard to kill because they're fast. It's their speed and their ability to go up to down, this and that. That's what makes it powerful. Of course, their ability, to breed quickly, where it's just eggs are there, male fertilizes, and suddenly, clearly they have an insane maturation rate.
Yeah,
the maturation rate must be insane on the.
Well,
Now,
because
here's
we
the
never
interest-
hear how many females there were when they
And
woke up.
Here's the there had to be a couple somewhere, or the eggs were dormant somewhere. And you have to think this though. And here's again, I don't think the movie has time to delve into this. Is you're telling me in all the spawning, no other male was born, and maybe if one was born, I guess this male would kill it, so you don't have an alpha
That
problem.
does make sense. There are things like that, like in beehives, if a queen is born, the original queen will kill it.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
something that does happen in nature.
Yeah.
So I can headcanon that.
That's about the only reasoning I can think of why are there no other males, because I guess if one got born and while it's still maturing, this one, the original male, the father would hear it and go, oh nope, you got to die. I don't care, you're my son, you're dead. I'll kill you.
Yep.
Because this is an alpha
The
situation.
only problem I have with that is it's a big planet.
It's a self-defeating for the purpose for the species if you do that. Without a backup male, now they're done. And the other ones are all going to die off. Because I guess the females have a shorter lifespan. I guess
Really?
that's maybe. Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to theorize.
Well,
how
they
it
do
would work.
die off pretty fast at the end of the movie. I
Yeah.
always figured this meant, oh, they're gonna starve to death soon or hibernate soon, but they can't come back because the male dragon's dead. But they're like, it's been 3 months since we've seen a dragon and 6 months since we killed the.
It's a little again. It's a female return to male. We don't have that biology for this. We don't. We
Yeah,
don't know
I mean,
about that.
frogs do that, but there's
These
no
aren't
evidence in the
frogs.
movie. Right? There's no. I mean, like in nature, there could be an explanation for that, but they didn't provide that.
This
in the movie.
isn't
If they said
Jurassic
that in the
Park,
movie, yeah,
where they use
Yeah.
frog DNA to make the dinosaurs, and frogs can spontaneously change gender.
that's something extreme that they would have to say. If they said it, totally good.
But they didn't. There
That's
was
good
no,
enough. But yeah, they didn't include it.
They did not include that. So that's reaching beyond what we have to work
Mhm.
with in terms of the rules. And it's just a question. So why are they dying off? Well, the food sources were short, and do the females have a shorter life expectancy? Which is why they lay so many thousands of. I mean, if you think about it logically, that would explain maybe why they lay so many eggs, because a female life expectancy is so short. Well, the
Mhm.
male clearly has been alive for millions of years. this male was probably there during the
He killed the dinosaurs.
the Jurassic era. Yeah, he was there. And now, of course, that would mean over the centuries, people probably stumbled upon a female here and there. Because then again, how would a dragon then otherwise appear in mythology around the world?
Some females may have woken up early.
So people probably triggered females, but that doesn't trigger the entire species awakening. It takes waking up the male to trigger it all. Because then he probably puts out a pheromone that wakes all the females up and starts the egg laying cycle all over again. But a female just waking up is just then, oh, it's awake. It's not going to put out the pheromones to wake other females up. And then that's how dragons appear in our mythology. So again, we're spitballing here. We're just trying to
that's
fill
a
in.
lot of headcaning, but it's an interesting.
It's theorizing. It's total theorizing.
It's interesting
To try
There's
and
no
make
evidence
sense
to
of the
back
lore.
it up, but yeah, it is.
But we're just trying to make sense of the lore here at the end of this, because we obviously don't have much more to say about the movie. We've talked it to its conclusion about it, and in the end, it is a general good time. You can watch this movie. You don't lose anything by watching it. It's not, again, I think I was pissed off when I saw this in 2002 because I thought I was getting a fantasy movie, and all I got a post-apocalyptic movie, and that was not a genre I'm still not particularly fond of, but it's not what I had wanted. Looking back at it now, just watching it as an objective observer for a critique show like this, where I haven't just paid back then $4.50 for a ticket, because that was a thing once upon a time. Not feeling like I just lost my money. No, all I did was spend a little time, and who's to say I wasn't doing other things while I was watching this. But either way, let's run our scores. And there's no, and I would say there's no soundtrack to this, so there's no point in really talking about the soundtrack like we would normally would. I don't feel like the soundtrack is worth mentioning. Just kind of is. I don't even remember a single.
Good,
moment.
like it's epic enough, but not memorable.
And they play some real world songs in there, so that's it. And that's it. Yeah, it's nothing that you're gonna remember. So all right, so
Yeah.
Jed, I'll score this first since it was your
Okay.
week. Flat out 7 out of 10. You know, I mean, I had a good time. I feel better about it than I did 20 years ago. If my 20 years ago, I would have given it a 5 or less. But the fact that I understand it, the fact that I look at the production value and realize, wow, they actually put time and effort, and the CGI looks a million times better than the dog shit we have today, that's going to bump it up. Now, am I going to own this movie? No, not really. If you had not had me watch it this weekend, I probably never would have watched this movie again. So, but I give it a 7 out of 10 because you're not going to be disappointed because it's a movie that knows exactly what it's doing. Dragons and Matthew McConaughey with an axe. Okay. So there you go. All right, what's your score on this one?
All right. I do absolutely adore this movie. I love watching and turning my brain off. It's a good time, but I don't rate it that high. I think
really?
it has some substantial plot issues and character issues like Van Zam, and being shallow is good for what it is, but not necessarily good for scoring. So I'm struggling to give it even a 6. Like I'm convincing myself to give it a 6 right now.
Once again, you prove how honest you are with these things and how you can maintain your objectivity. And I just go, I'm 7. I had a good time. Okay. I'm all right. My criticisms are what they are, but they're totally, what I love is that they're totally different from your criticisms.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're very different. I want to give it a 5, but I feel like a 6.
All right. So there we go, guys. We are done with Reign of Fire. I have not chosen next week's movie yet. We're going to go a little more serious. Next week, we both agreed. We want something we can really sink our teeth into for a discussion. I have a couple things in mind. I will let Jed know in the next probably 48 hours, and I'll let you guys know by Wednesday. But we can announce we both have agreed that it's kind of fitting that on Saturday, July 1st for Saturday Night Drive-In, barring any interferences, we are doing Raiders of the Lost Ark because it's kind of fitting that we celebrate a real Indiana Jones movie on that weekend as opposed to Dial-Up of Destiny. So once again, Jed, thanks for being here. You have anything you want to announce this week before we go?
Just check out my new Flashpoint video, everybody. Put a lot of work into that if you want to know the story in the comics of how Flashpoint is supposed to go versus how it was portrayed in the recent movie. Go check out that video. And as a little bit of a tease, Beardo plays Batman in it. So if you want to see Beardo as Batman, definitely go check out that video.
All right. And as always here on this channel, you guys know the schedule. If you're watching this on any time, you know that Sunday we have Roundtable. And this week, there's a lot of family movies we're going to talk about.
It's going to be glorious.
We're going to have a good time tomorrow. We're going to have a good time. And check out the rest of my channel, videos, gaming. Right now, at this time, it's Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, but I'm racing against the clock with Final Fantasy 16 coming up in a few short days. So check it out. If you had a good time, hit that like button, leave a comment. If you're new here, check out the channel, subscribe to myself, subscribe to Jed. You might find you like what we have to say on things. And we will see all of you next time. Take it easy, everybody.
Chevron 1, coded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed your quest. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry havoc, and let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2 is coded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's on the reflexes.
I'll also say that you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff. I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
while you can, monkey boy.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass!
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Got it. There we go.
Sweet.
Okay.
Well, if you need ideas for heavy thinker movies,